Good morning, beautiful souls. I Neo-Advaita is on my mind. Uh, it hasn't been for a long time. I've just been off living life, but it's really on my mind. So I decided I wanted to try something different. I wanted to come on here and just be transparent, be authentic. Oftentimes when I come on here, I teach. I don't teach non-duality, but I teach the difference between neo non-duality and actual non-duality. But now today I just want to come on and just share from my heart. And it's a little nerve-wracking doing that. Like, what do people think? And being vulnerable. And even though this is it's not like all of you are sitting in front of me, it's still vulnerable to just like open up and share what's going on. And I feel like what do I want to say? Well, I'm really revisiting my spiritual past. Like, how did I get involved in Neo-Advaita? How did I get involved in nonsense spirituality? And hey, S. Brown, Om. And so I just watched a video of my first teacher, and oh my God, he was not a Neo-Advaita teacher. And as I was watching, I'm just like, how did I fall for that? And how I fell for him is this guy just radiated so much energy. Like, talk about Shaktipat, although I've learned that's not the technical term. Shaktipat is a very specific type of energy. But this guy, I don't want to name names this morning. That creates a whole level of tension and conflict. But my first teacher, he just pumped out energy, and I just got high as a kite around him, and I felt good. And before I even met him, I showed up at his center and at the guest house. And as soon as I walked into the guest house, I was just like saturated with this energy, and I literally became a different person that night. I meditated that night, and I woke up and I was like a different person. Like, I became my best self. I hadn't even met the guy yet. And so I was just like, oh my God, this guy's the real deal. Like, I hadn't even met him. And I'm like, he's the real deal. And boy, was he not. But that was the hook for me. I mean, there were other hooks of like, he's closer to the truth than me. He can lead me to freedom. But the real hook was the experience I had. I think it's very common in Neo-Advaita circles. People have a kind of experience with a Neo-Advaita teacher, and then they're like, oh, this person's enlightened. This person can lead me to enlightenment. And that did happen to me once I did hop on the Neo-Advaita train. The other thing, I mean, there's a lot of things on my mind and heart this morning. Another one is, I might cry on this one. Someone reached out to me, and one of their relatives died at a Neo-Advaita community. And before their death, this person had lost a lot of weight. Apparently, this person was youngish. And this person who reached out to me, they described their relative who died as like the most gentle, kind soul ever. And it breaks my heart that it happened to this person. It breaks my heart for the family. Like, the family doesn't know what's going on. The family's just trying to make sense of it. That's why they reached out to me. But what it takes me back in time to my first experience with Neo-Advaita was in a community. It was a full-on cult, and I lived there, and it was an insane house. There's no other way to describe it. It was like living in an insane asylum, and simultaneously believing that I needed the insane asylum. And so, this particular Neo-Advaita, not the one I went to, the one of the person wrote out to, there have been quite a few mysterious deaths where young people just start to wither away and die. And it sounds like this girl was one of them. And so it just breaks my heart that that's happening, that it happened to this poor, gentle soul. And it breaks my heart that I went through this experience. That's what it's connecting me to is, when I showed up at that cult, what I went to was a full-on cult. I was 25. I was a young kid, so trusting, so open, so earnest, like I really wanted enlightenment, spirituality. Trust me, I had my fair share of problems that I was showing up with. Look, I was suffering and looking for help. And when I got there, I had profound awakening. When I say profound, I had like 2 months of almost nonstop bliss. And so as soon as the awakening happened, I'm like, oh my God, this is the truth. This is what I've been looking for my whole life. I was beyond hooked. I was just like, everything that everyone said, I just absorbed it. I'm like, this is the truth. This is the truth because of the experience I had. And it was psychologically and emotionally just a shit show. And it wasn't even so. There wasn't a lot of money abuse going on. There wasn't sexual abuse going on that I was aware of. So, in terms of, it could have been like a lot worse. And I've heard stories about other places that are worse. So I got lucky. But in terms of the mental and emotional mind fuck and just heart twist up, and it just when I think back to it, and I think how confused I was and how lost I was, like having this amazing expanded experience and simultaneously having mental, emotional, just being nutso, like that combination, it really is it's a special kind of hell. It's not like nonstop suffering and torment. And I'm talking more once the bliss wore off. Like the first 2 months, I was just like, wah! I was all over the place with bliss and excitement. But once that wore off, and then it was sometimes bliss, sometimes misery. And the worst part is the confusion. And I think that's what, when I imagine the people who are still in Neo-Advaita communities, that's what breaks my heart, is the confusion of this is so true, what I'm experiencing, and this is so messed up, and what do I do? And just feeling utterly dependent. And through just absolute grace, I made it out. I made it out of that community. Oh my God. I'm not Catholic, but thank you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Thank you all. Thank you, grace. I made it out. But once I left, so just bear with me. So this was like crazy, heaven, hell, heaven, hell, heaven, hell, crazy. And I thought of going back for like 5 years after I left. For the first year or two that I left, I probably thought of going back. For the first year, I probably thought of going back every day. And for the first couple of years, I just felt like I am so broken from this, I am never going to recover. And So I'm kind of talking about it, but there's this feeling when that person wrote to me and shared about their relative dying. It really got me in touch with the sheer torment of not knowing what's true anymore. I think that's where Neo-Advaita that's where Neo-Advaita took me, and I think that's where it takes most people, is the absolute torment of not having any discernment anymore. Or having discernment, it just gets so tricky of like, of really not knowing anything anymore. And there's mystical literature and teachers that talk about going beyond the mind and not knowing things, but this is a different kind of, this is a, and that sounds very freeing. And I've had moments like that where my mind was not attached to anything, and I'm just where the mind was just wide open, right? That's a wonderful thing, but I was still able to function. But what I'm talking about is this complete confusion, just absolute confusion. That's a tormenting kind of not knowing, and just trying to figure it out, and there being no solution up here. So this is a little more like a vlog, a video log, but part of one of the inspirations for doing this is part of how Neo-Advaita and cults work. It's just a word game that dissociates a person from authenticity, and so getting real, getting authentic, and getting connected to the heart is like the opposite of Neo-Advaita. So, right now it's interesting. I'm doing this amazing course called Rewrite the Story. Let's see if I have where's the book? It's this really cool book. I can't find it right now. It's around here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's in my, called Rewrite the Story. And it's basically this process. Let me see if I can find, I want to recommend it actually. I mean, I don't know if it'd be helpful for other people, but I'm gonna get the author's name so you can. It was a book written by Harley O'Neill, and so what it is you. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. There it is. I think I found it. One moment. So she's basically created this journaling. It's kind of like not quite a journaling process, but a writing process where you look at old writings. In my case, I can look at old videos. You look at old things that you've created about yourself like a journalist. And then you write about it from like a more objective point of view. And so it has me looking at my past from not so much a detached, but with some distance. And now I don't even remember why I'm sharing. Oh, because I'm doing this. She's leading a workshop that I'm participating in, and it's so healing to get in touch with my feelings. The cliches, like get in touch with your feelings, do some journaling, share about it in a supportive environment, It's like the antithesis of Neo-Advaita. And it's so, Neo-Advaita is like, here's this cosmic solution to all your problems. And it just doesn't work the way Neo-Advaita presents it. And so right now I'm doing this workshop with this really supportive group. We get together once a week and we have homework and we do some writing and we share. And um, it's just like the exact opposite of a Neo-Advaita satsang. People share about how they're doing and what they discovered about themselves. And the teacher isn't like constantly trying to correct them and control their thoughts and get them to say the dogma. There's just space to be. And, participating in this circle and how good it feels and how healing it feels. I'm like, I want more of that in my life, but I also, like, that's part of the healing process for me from Neo-Advaita. And as I've shared, I've actually studied with a traditional Advaita Vedanta teacher who is a former psychologist. And she said, if you have to resolve major things from the past before something like self-inquiry or before the advanced stage of Advaita Vedanta. So those are some of the things that inspired this video this morning. And I hope to do, I don't want a future trip, but it feels really good to just get on here and be me. Because oftentimes I get on here and I share information, and that information is usually about the difference between traditional Advaita and Neo-Advaita. But to just get on and share from my heart, share my feelings, share some tears, feels really good. Let's see, I got a comment. S. Brown wrote, I discovered your channel a few weeks ago. I really appreciate your insights. Neo-Advaita never sat right with me. Fortunately, Vasishtha Advaita provided a link between us and the divine. S. Brown, I hope you're still here. Please let me know if you're still here, S. Brown. So, teaching mode, it's tempting for me to hop into teaching mode and be like, here's what they're talking about. Here's Vasishtha Advaita. I've talked about it many times, so I'm not going to hop on it today. But Vasishtha Advaita was part of the healing process for me, and I've recommended it many times on this channel. It doesn't mean you have to follow that philosophy or find a Vasishtha Advaita guru. But for me, finding that philosophy was very helpful. It was really an essential part of my healing process. And now I'm like, should I talk about Vasishtha Advaita? I don't want to be a teacher today. Maybe another day. Looks like you're not still here, S. Brown. But thank you for that comment. And thank you, everybody, for your time, energy, and attention. I wish you a great day of connecting to your full self, which, yes, includes your transcendent self, however you may define or understand that. And it absolutely includes the body, your emotions, your good heart, your inspirations, your passions. Thank you so much for joining in. Big love.